This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
It is 6 p.m. I will now call to order the September 9th meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission will be conducted in person and simultaneously via remote participation online to the greatest extent possible. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the City of Easthampton website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Should an interruption occur in which the online meeting ends abruptly, both the in-person and online meetings will not be restarted, and all agenda items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items? Yes.
I wanted to rate, Kathy Wazinski, Overland Drive. I wanted to raise an issue about the area on Loudville Road that is conservation for the forestry, New England Forestry Trust. I've reached out to the trust to address the issue as well. There is significant amount of digging up there for rocks, which is allowed, permitted by the Forestry Trust. Unfortunately, there are some people that are starting to dig trenches from up on the hill, heading up towards the road with the expressed purpose of getting rain to wash the dirt down so they don't have to dig for the rocks, which is then washing the dirt right into the river, leaving big holes in the ground that are supposed to be filled in when they're done digging, but they're not, and also impacting the stability of the trees because they're digging under the trees, which they're also not supposed to do. I wanted to just make you aware because there's a lot of sediment that's going into the Manhan there because of it.
Do you have an address on this?
I don't know what the address is for the lead lines.
The property right before the turn.
Correct. There's an entrance on
Yeah.
Loudville Road,
Yeah.
and there's also an entrance on Mineral Street.
Okay.
And as I said, I've reached out to the trust. The phone number that was posted up there wasn't working, but I found another number. Okay. Email when
Yeah, I do. I at least know where the Loudville Road entrance is, and then on Mineral Street, you said.
I think it's either on Mineral Street or Lead Mine Road in Southampton.
Okay.
I don't think.
Yep. And where, approximately where in the conservation area is
They're
this?
digging on the Loudville Road. Well, they're digging on both sides, but the trenches I've seen on the Loudville Road side going up the hill towards the road. And there are multiple trenches.
Okay.
And deep holes, like if I stood in them, it'd be waist high.
What's the character of the rocks that people are seeking?
So there are crystals and a number of different rare rocks up there, and of course lead as well in there. So
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll look into it.
and I'll email if I hear back.
Please do.
I do have video too, and so I'll send them to
Yeah,
you.
you could send that. Absolutely. Conservation at easthampton.ma.gov.
Any other public concerns, non-agenda items? Right, hearing none, we'll move on to public hearings. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing for abbreviated notice of resource area delineation filed by GZA Geoenvironmental on behalf of Crown Meadow Corporation at Holly Circle and Crestview Drive, map 166, lots 75 through 80, 83 through 89, and map 171, lots 14-1, 14-2, and 15 through 22, 25, and 25 through 29. Mass DEP file number 1510327. And we had a request at the last meeting to continue this item to November 18th. So it has been continued, but will remain on the agenda to remind us that it is forthcoming. Our next order of business is a public hearing for notice of intent filed by the Berkshire Design Group on behalf of the Community Builders, Inc. for new housing development at 385 Main Street, map 154, lot 32-1. This is Mass DEP file number 1510330. Jack, would you like to reintroduce yourself for the record, please?
Sure. Jeff Squire from the Berkshire Design Group here on behalf of community builders.
Great, thank you. The commission conducted a site visit on Saturday, the 7th. That was attended by myself, our agent. Who else was there? Commissioner Weeks, Commissioner Buttrick. That was it.
That was it.
Yep. I know that there is some, or there are ongoing changes to the stormwater plan for the site. Do you want to give us an update on where that stands?
Sure. Yep. So yeah, just to recap, yes, we had our second site visit on Saturday. The first one was just prior to Cassie leaving. So on Saturday, we received comments from city engineer, and then subsequently a letter from a PE, presumably hired by abutters, just questioning some of the things in the original report. So in addressing those, we are in the midst of revising the stormwater plan, as we noted on Saturday. Yesterday, we also received additional soil boring information from OTO. So that just came in yesterday afternoon, so we'll be layering that into the information we have. I was hopeful to have a final report ready just to discuss more at this meeting with specifics, but we're not quite there yet. This is, as I noted, a particularly challenging site, particularly due to high groundwater, the 3-foot stormwater separation requirement, and then the soils, which is something just to make mention of. One of the things that we're trying to work through, one of the comments that was made in that letter was that the soil maps indicate an A and a B type soil on that site. And on surface, that's what it is, but it really doesn't function as that type of soil. It's really a D soil with a clay layer. So there's going to have to be some discussion about what everybody agrees we call that, but it's it's certainly not a well draining A or B soil, or better draining A or B soil. So taking that into account, we have raised the site to get out of that groundwater a little bit more. There is a plan to utilize porous asphalt virtually everywhere that we have got paved surfaces. So we, in the entire parking lot, got access, the emergency access drive in the back. All of that is currently being modeled as porous asphalt. Some will, as a function, with infiltration. Some is primarily for attenuation, but it's just how this is all getting modeled. It's very complicated. So, and then we've got additional storage, subsurface storage for the roof water, just as a volume that we need to store. So that will all be below ground. And so, yeah, I don't think the site, in terms of layout, its limits of work, the different elements and components haven't changed at all since the original submission. It's really just the stormwater and the grading related to that. And so yeah, we're plugging away. We've had 2 engineers on this for the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've got an engineer that has been with us has been in the field for 28 years and has said this is by far the most challenging site he has had. So we're certainly aware of the concerns. We're trying to crack that nut. We're very close, but we're hopeful that tomorrow or Wednesday we'll have something more to share, and we'll update everybody as that available. So
okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think, given the scale of the development, typically with projects of this size, we would put the project out for peer review. So we don't quite have the materials ready for peer review, but I thought it made sense to start discussing that process. So I guess I'll just poll people first. Is the commission in agreement that we would want to get a peer review for this project?
Just the size, yes.
Yeah.
Because of the public concerns, yes. Sure.
And because of the 28-year engineer's opinion of complexity.
Yeah.
I will also note that the city engineer just wrote a note to the commission stating that she also suggests a peer review.
Okay,
For this
great.
project.
Thank you. So Ava, this will be the first time we're asking you to put together an RFP for a peer review. I don't know if Cassie left you much instruction as to how this process usually goes.
I saw what she did for Tasty Top. Okay. I have a sense of that as a template.
Okay. So if you could go ahead and start to get a draft together.
Yep.
That would be helpful. I think I'm trying to think about what we had in the scope for the peer review for Tasty Top. It would probably be quite similar.
Would you like me to pull it up?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
And do you know if that peer review included wetland?
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
it probably did, so we won't need to include that piece since we already have the ANRAD.
We have a separate, well, we may have been a separate wetland peer review for Tasty Top associated with the enforcement orders earlier, but I don't
maybe.
remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Emily Stockman, right? Did she part of it? Did she do something like that? I think she did.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. We did have a separate peer review around some of the enforcement areas.
Yep. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not remembering entirely the timing or how that all.
Yeah, I'm
worked
not
out.
either.
Yep. But in that case, since there's the NRAD, then it's all like locked in basically.
Okay. This is what Cassie had written.
Make it a little bit bigger than that. Yes, I would imagine this first bullet about stormwater management system, I think we could reuse that.
Okay.
Basically as is, unless anybody sees anything that differs. Because we don't have the steep slopes issue here, the
Right.
fourth bullet, so we would do that. This project had a complicated phasing plan. I'm not sure that would apply here. Is the intent, Jeff, that the entire project will get built as one phase?
I know originally they were talking about phasing it, but the latest I've heard is that they intend to, break ground and try to finish through.
Okay.
As one.
Okay, so I think we could eliminate that piece.
Yep.
The stream crossing bullet would be irrelevant here. But otherwise, I think the rest of that applies. So if you could
We
do
do
another
have stream
review.
crossings, just not the
So
same.
wetland crossings though.
I guess
So
so.
the
Yeah, you're-
compliance with
yeah.
the stream crossing standards wouldn't apply.
That's right. Yeah, this is a little different.
Yeah.
And then this would be different.
Yep.
And then the dates
Mhm.
that the commission sets.
Yeah, I think in this one we had substantial back and forth and discussions before we got to a point where we were comfortable sending it out for review. So there was a lot of material we were asking to have the peer reviewer look at. In this case, we're just getting started on the hearings. So I don't think there's really hasn't been any background discussion that we need them to take a look at. So it would primarily be the submission, the updated submission, once it's prepared. So yeah, if you could take a first cut at adapting that and having something, yeah, that would be good. Absolutely.
Jeff, and we have a draft. Would you like it sent your way?
Sure, just to share with the clients, that would be great. I'm sure they'd be, that's okay. Yeah. And is there a particular list of engineers or folks that you reach out to?
I was just going to ask if did Cassie leave you a list of the folks she usually reaches out to?
She left me just the MACC list of consultants.
Okay.
And said she usually just calls down the line.
Okay. Yep. And then I think you're aware there's a couple that we can't use, which would be Fuss and O'Neill, Time Bond, because members of the commission work for those firms. GZA was involved in the ANRAD for this one, so I think we would rule them out, right? Conflict of interest.
Okay.
Are there any other conflicts we know of? I think those are the only three that apply here.
The survey.
Northeast, I think.
I think you're right.
Yep.
I know TO is involved, but they wouldn't do a stormwater review. And I don't know if Berkshire's on that list, but obviously they would do everyone.
Happy to do it. Cheers. That's good. Thanks.
I should say too that Tim Grace, who provided that comment letter, he's a time bond employee, but he didn't do this as part of his time bond roles. So it was, he knows neighbors and things. So he didn't coordinate his review with me at all. I didn't provide any input on it. There was no payment to time bond for that. So I'm not conflicted, in my opinion, anyways, with his comments he provided.
There was a public comment letter I received about this project. Let me read that into the record from Dean Wilson. Just stated that I am concerned, this is her quote, "I'm concerned about the proposed project at 385 Main Street. I've noticed a lack of attention to detail regarding the project. From the developer not following the legal requirements for notice to abutters on a public hearing, sending out notices with incorrect information and concern at flooding. Errors on paper are easier to correct, errors on concrete not so much. The project will have significant impact to the surrounding properties. I would encourage the developers to pay close attention to detail, and I thank the Conservation Commission for doing their due diligence. Thank you."
And did you have an address for that?
377 Main Street.
Okay, thank you.
Easthampton.
All right. I think there's not a lot that we can discuss prior to getting the revised stormwater plan, but was there anything that the commission wanted to bring up this evening before we, relative to other parts of the wetlands jurisdiction? Deb?
I was concerned about the invasives. Would that be the entire property? Because I know it's the 10 acres they're going to develop, but then the rest is the CRs, who is the invasives, and we would check, for everything or just for the 10 acres?
That we would check
to see what's there, or have an invasive management plan. I don't know if it would be divided or just the entire 385.
So I think it would be limited in this case to the parcel, or is it 2 parcels that are part of the proposed project area?
It's 3 really that encompass the whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
project. Yeah, because there's the old subdivision, the paper street.
Yep.
Is one parcel, then where most of this project is happening, and then it's a large piece on the west end of the property that comprises a lot of the acreage.
And but
most of that will all be in CR.
So is there active work proposed in all 3 parcels? I thought it was just 2.
It's just 2.
2. Yeah. So I think the our scope of invasive management relative to this project would be limited to those two parcels, I think.
Well, so, I'm sorry. So while they're putting everything together, can we have them go out and see what is there for invasives?
Who is them?
When Berkshire Design has someone go out and check the site. Or whoever they're using.
Have you already looked at invasive stuff?
I mean, not specifically, no. I mean, I know there's bittersweet draped all up and down those, those hedgerows, the old property lines. And certainly in that buffer, the right of way along Route 10, along Main Street, that sloped down to the wetlands. But there really isn't, there isn't really any other forested area on the site that we're disturbing anyway. Beyond those two, there may be other herbaceous, garlic mustard or some other things in the field, but I'm not aware of any.
Mm-hmm. Trying to recall what we've done on other projects. Tasty Top was a little bit different because our primary invasive management piece there was associated with the enforcement order. Did we have an invasive management piece in the order of conditions itself? Can anyone remember?
I don't remember.
I don't remember ever talking about it. And
We focus on native species a lot for plantings.
Yes.
I don't remember a ton of invasives all over the place and those on that parcel in the same way, but I guess I don't remember focusing on it.
Yeah, I think the bittersweet at the property edge is the main thing, and I'm not entirely sure if that's on the property, if that's the adjacent property.
Right.
Yeah, I as to where the trunks fall, I don't honestly know.
I think most likely that this project wouldn't, through the WPA itself, be required to submit an invasive management plan as part of the application. So I think it would fall more under our typical conditions that we would require for management of disturbed areas. And I don't know, we'll have to discuss more whether we have expectations for any enhancement. But other than the crossings of the wetlands at the back, they're really not getting into the wetland areas at all. As proposed currently, unless anything changes.
Could comment about the invasives.
Let me just make sure there's no other comments from the commission first, and then we'll come back to public. Anyone else?
There's no MEPA review for this project.
I have another question, but it's not about invasives.
That's fine. I want to finish.
So there's another thing listed in the project updates. It says we've received the draft comprehensive permit from ZBA planner Dylan Maxfield is looking for the Conservation Commission's review. I didn't know if that permit was different from the NOI.
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So the associate planner Dylan Maxfield just sent me the comprehensive permit that ZBA is working on, that they're opening the hearing of the comprehensive permit this Wednesday at ZBA. He expects it to continue on, but pages, I think he noted like page 21 involves wetlands and stormwater conditions. Mm-hmm. and he wanted to make sure that what they have written in there, which is generally relatively vague language, is in alignment with where the commission anticipates going.
Okay.
But there's not a particular rush on that review.
Okay.
The commission will meet again prior to the next ZBA. Yes.
Okay. So is your preference, Ava, that we would all look at that independently and submit any comments to you?
That sounds good. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. And that, yeah, so that's a planning board. Do you know why they have to go to ZBA? Or you probably
because it's a 40B project.
Okay.
Yeah, so by state statute, the only reason they can do that development is under Mass 40B.
Gotcha.
And so that requires a comprehensive permit, but basically a site plan approval from the zoning board rather than the planning board.
Okay.
But it doesn't skirt your local, your conservation commission or state stormwater standards. So.
And do you have to get do you go before the regular planning board process as well?
No. Yes.
Okay.
do have a perfect person here to ask a question. There's a at 385 at this parcel, there's a low area along College Highway Route 10 with a like an 18-inch pipe and then a catch basin on the other side of Route 10. And then across from that, I think there's an area that some resident had been filling pretty deeply for quite a while. And I think the planning board made a plant some white pines along the side of the road. Do you know if you had to guess, would you say that there once was an outfall from Route 10 on the other side of the road that is now buried underneath something?
There was, and the owner of that property, who is now deceased, and I'm sure his estate still owns it, as far as I know, extended the drain quite a ways down toward the old zona lake plan is what I call it. I don't know what they call it now, but toward the bike path. It was just probably not the best method that they used, but he did extend it, and then he kept filling beyond the edge of the road, behind those white pines. So it was all low. So there was a, let's see, no, the NOI that I saw, the wetland delineation, had to do with the at the bike path coming back, and it ended at the end of that culvert. But it was just, I'm not sure if it's even a straight line, but I think at one point before that culvert on the west side of Route 10 was kind of covered up with vegetation. It used to just discharge on the far side of the road.
That's solve a mystery.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd probably dig something up that shows where it ended. Whether or not it's still exposed there, I don't know. It wasn't, I don't know what size it is on the Route 10, but I don't think it's that size. It's at the most, it's like a 12-inch.
So it steps down somewhere, probably.
Probably that there's I think there's a drain manhole just off the road on the east side of Route 10. That it goes into, and then it kind of veers off to the south a little bit.
Okay.
You happen to have something on paper, I'm sure there'd be people here that would.
Ask Diane, she's probably got something in the computer.
Okay.
Or one of the old records that shows that it did get, pretty sure it went through the commission, but things weren't as strict then as they are now.
I started in the commission in 2007, and I don't remember.
Well, it was prior to that. It was probably in the early 90s, maybe something like that.
Okay. All right.
Should I follow up with Diane?
Can't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, and we did ask her the question also, and it wasn't, maybe she didn't look hard enough or, in the right places, but we did
Yes.
certainly ask.
She may not know that history, so
Yeah.
if you fill her in on that story, she may have a better sense of where to look for it.
Totally. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
I might have something in the archives that I've kept over the years digitally that I could email to you if I can find it.
I can look through the commission's minutes from the early 90s too. Just some folders.
Good luck with that.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, there was like a range of files that disappeared,
Yes,
15 years ago or something like that.
hopefully it's not in that range. Do you have any date other than early 90s? No.
Just memory, but
What was the last name of the property owner?
initial G. I think this still on it. I haven't seen that being transferred. There was a potential for a extension of John Street into that parcel at some point in history, but it never came to fruition. And we also, the DPW also had a plan to cut off the sewer in Main Street and extend it through that parcel down to the bike path. When we put the sewer in along the bike path, I put a manhole there to accept sewage, because that section of Main Street with Big Y added to it and all that development, the section of the sewer on Main Street was kind of overloaded at times. And so we were going to cut some of that off and direct it into the interceptor at the bike path. It never happened. I mean, I get some conceptual drawings of it, but it never happened.
I think some A's and B's disappeared, not
Yeah, I don't
not
think
that
we lost
far up,
it.
yeah, not that far up, yeah. Yeah.
That's a long story. A long story. Any other comments from the commission at this point?
No.
Okay, we'll open it to public comment then. Just remind us of your name for the record.
Yeah,
please.
Jim Gracia, 99 Glendale Street, Easthampton. Just a quick comment about the invasives. And when during my tenure as town city engineer, we did the intersection of West Street and Glendale and Loudville, and we moved the road over. It was onto my property. There was a small section of wetland that we filled, and it contained invasives. And at the time, the commission wanted the invasive treated, but unfortunately, there's another 1,000 square feet of invasives abutting it, which didn't get treated. At the time, I kind of objected to the treatment because of the cost. You know, what it cost us to do 200 square feet was a waste of money, and in my estimation at the time, because it abutted other invasives already. It's all fragmity in there, still is, but it all grew back to where it was supposedly treated. But it's just a general comment as far as invasives.
Thank you. All right, so our actions on this, Ava will be putting together the RFP for peer review. We're waiting on the updated stormwater design, which it sounds like you expect to have sometime this week.
I hope so, yes.
Okay, so it seems like a continuance to the 9/23 meeting would put us in good shape to be able to have all those details with time to review and properly start discussing. That sound good to you, Jeff?
That sounds fine, yes.
Okay.
And certainly if things change or head south, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Okay,
Motion to continue to September 23rd at 6 p.m.
Second.
all those in favor, roll call vote. Commissioner Buttrick?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
August? Weeks?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries, so we'll continue to 9/23. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff.
Sit through that. Thank you.
All right, our next order of business, do you need a minute, Ava, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay, is for a request for determination of applicability filed by James Gracia on behalf of the Christopher Pierce Estate for a septic system repair at 48 Clapp Street, map 112, block 36. And just to remind the commission, when we left off at the last meeting, we were ready to issue a determination except for a question regarding signature authority because of the unusual situation in which the estate resides and the lack of signature from the owner since he is deceased. And so I think we got clarity on that. Ava, do you want to brief us?
Yep, we got clarity from Mark Simpson that the notification of the property owner's estate is sufficient for the DOA.
Okay. And so we're able to move forward with, is it Carolyn? Am I remembering that correctly?
Claudia.
Claudia,
Yeah.
sorry. With Claudia's signature, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Indeed.
So in that case, we have everything we need.
It's the second one in the middle there.
And do we have our form?
Yep. So I put one note in the like conditions for negative type 3. Based on what you had spoken to last time about not accepting the delineation as a proper delineation for 3 years. Right. That's the only note. Okay.
Yep, and so we had talked about doing a negative determination type 3, which is that the work described is within the buffer zone as defined in the regulations, but will not alter any area subject to jurisdiction under the act. Therefore, said work does not require filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions. And the condition listed was that the wetland flags shown in the plans are not accepted as a formal wetland delineation. I think we may want to add, probably want to add our standard conditions for 48-hour notice prior to beginning work and implementation of the erosion controls, which as I recall were shown on the plan. I think we looked at them and were satisfied. correct?
Correct.
Any other discussion? In that case, I'll look for a motion to issue a determination.
Motion to issue a negative determination type 3. Conditions noting that the wetland flag shown on plans are not accepted as a form of wetland delineation and 48 hours notice prior
Standard
to
conditions.
Yeah, standard condition. And implementation of erosion controls shown on plans.
Second.
All those in favor, Mr. Buttrick?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Weeks?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries. Jay, can I borrow your pen?
Sure can.
Keep reading the wrong color. I forgot to fill it in. We missed a date at the top of that, or
I think this is when it gets delivered to them.
okay. We checked up hand delivery. Are you gonna give it to him tonight?
That's incorrect.
That's incorrect. You're gonna do
Yeah.
it through the portal.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I need signatures then.
If you're doing it through the online portal, we don't.
You don't sign it.
Yeah, you have our authorization
Sure.
to sign. Okay. On our behalf.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for signing anyway.
Double that, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Do I need 48 hours notice before we put the fence in?
Yes, indeed. Do
Okay.
you want to stick around for discussion of the debris? That was the other piece of this.
Cease and desist.
Yeah. There was some debris that the commission saw in the research
Right.
area. Should we discuss that now?
I think we could skip ahead and talk about that, yes. Okay. Was that just we were just gonna talk about that under general business, I think, right?
I didn't add it as an agenda item. I think
Okay.
it was still under this. But.
Yep. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and talk about that now. Sorry, Jen.
Okay.
I did return to the site. Take a closer look. If you want to pull the plan, I can show you exactly where these images were taken.
Jeez.
So just to orient you, so this image was taken between 3 and 4.
Okay.
At the closest point. And then this image, make it bigger. Shows taken at flag 3, looking
Outward.
yeah, looking
Away.
kind of along the swale.
Okay.
Yeah, the jewel weed is down here is the swale, and it's sort of up on the edge here.
Okay.
And then this is looking down into the swale, directly down. Flag 3 right here. Again, looking kind of over. These are different views of most of some of the same patch. And then this is moving over. So now flag 4 is on our right here.
Okay.
This is further along. Flag 4 is still on our right, moving towards flag 5. And now we're looking at flag 5. And then this is kind of a larger view. I went out across to the other side of the swale here and looked across.
Okay. What would your recommendation be of having seen this?
I think a cease and desist letter is probably appropriate. It does appear to be more debris than would have naturally fallen there, including some pretty hard packed. It looks like someone was continually throwing clippings, cuttings of woody vegetation, and grass cuttings. It's mostly on the edge of the swale. It's sort of like kind of along the bank is what it looked like when I was out in the field, not sort of down deep in the resource area, making sort of a sort of like a false bank, like extending the bank out a little bit further. I think my recommendation would be a cease and desist letter. I'm not, being new as the conservation agent, I'm not sure at what point an enforcement action of a removal is necessary.
Do you feel that it's restricting the flow of water through the swale at this point?
I don't, because the debris is mostly piled higher up on the swale, and knowing that water is mostly moving further close to the bottom of it, I imagine that the water is not frequently coming up that high.
Okay.
It's including that some of this debris is sort of, if you can almost get a sense of it from here, some of the debris is like right over, like on the upland side of where Jim's delineation was.
Okay.
There were some trees that were cut along the edge of the lawn historically. I don't know how long ago. They weren't freshly cut. I mean, the stumps are still there, just, close to the ground. And I think a lot of this came from that. I don't know how long ago. It's hard to tell. It wasn't fresh.
Okay.
There is a tree that fell over, big oak tree that toppled over, but that just happened. But everything that's in there appears to have happened, say, in the last 20 years or something like that.
Okay. Thoughts from the commission?
Go with the cease and desist.
Yeah, cease and desist. It's probably not worth doing some kind of order to take it out or doing restoration because it's more debris than probably would have fallen directly on it. But it seems like it's, they weren't like hauling stuff from all over the place in there.
Right.
But, With starting their bank and opening it all up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I would concur. If it's not restricting flows at this point, I think let's just let it break down naturally, but stop the further accumulation.
The house has been listed for sale officially last week, and it would be good to, if this letter is gonna come, get it to the realtor so that the new buyer is aware of it before they actually make the purchase.
I was going to suggest
Good.
that we try to accomplish that somehow. Yeah, thank you.
I can send it to Claudia.
Yep.
And to you as well, of course, Jim.
Yeah, yeah.
Do either you or Claudia, can you folks pass it on to the realtor?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You send me the copy of the letter, I'll get it to the realtor. I have her card.
Should we say that in the letter? That this should also be communicated to the future owner?
No reason not to, yeah. You could say that we understand the property's been listed for sale and to please make this known to prospective owners. And ask that they be made aware of the resource area and limitations on activities within the area and its buffer zone. Yep. Anything further anyone would like to see included?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Send it to me when you get it done.
I will do.
Are you ready, Ava?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to request for certificate of compliance. Letter A is for Easthampton Park Solar, and we had a request to continue that item to 9/23, so we don't have the new information there yet. Item B is Easthampton School Committee, Mass DEP file number 151305. For construction of a new school building with associated parking, driveway, utilities, stormwater system, track and field facilities, site amenities, and landscaping at 200 Park Street, which is map 157, lot 83. And I believe the piece that we were looking for, I think the only thing we were still looking for was the updated O&M we discussed last time, that what was submitted did not include what we were
Apologies.
looking for. So I think do we have someone here to speak to that matter?
Yeah, Jill is here. And the signed stormwater plan could be in that bottom file. But Joel, would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, so we did get a hold of that document and I got it over to
No, he's right
Larry.
here. I'm sorry, Joel. We're just having trouble hearing you. Can you try speaking?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Nothing?
What was included with the original submission.
Okay, Joel, can you try speaking now?
Yeah, can you hear me now, Eva?
Yes, we can.
All right. Yeah, so we got a hold of that stormwater O&M, and I got it over to Larry Carnes, the director of school facilities for Easthampton, and went over it with him, and he executed a copy, and we turned that in on Friday. So I believe that should take care of that item.
Okay, we're just passing that along so folks can take a look.
Sure.
Is this the copy that was digitized? Anyway,
Yes, I haven't received a physical copy of it, just the digital version with his signature, with Larry Carnes' signature.
so I had a question on that. So when I was looking through it, on page 4, 3.0 to 3.1, the intro, they're calling it the Beale Elementary School site. And then if you go to page 6, 3.3, it says it's based on the Worcester Conservation Commission.
Yeah, so Larry actually picked up on that when I sent it over. This was a document that was prepared during design in 2019 by Niche Engineering, the engineering firm on the project. It's primarily best practice information. It stands to reason they probably have a template that they used, but those two references are likely just mistakes.
Why were they not corrected?
So this document was from the commission from 2019. I imagine that they got through at that time, but I don't think that they affect materially any of the information that's contained or the recommendations. Like there's no site-specific information related to other projects. I could kind of cross those out and make reference to Easthampton and Mountain View School, and file that as kind of a revision if needed.
Yeah, I think the version on file should have the correct information in reference to the correct site and commission with authority.
I think it makes reference to both the correct site and commission in other areas. I think those two slipped through in 2019, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We can get that cleaned up.
Okay. Any other comments?
Nope.
Thank you, Deb, for your close reading. So if you could get those minor corrections made, and then I think we can we vote to issue the certificate once those are received and let Ava confirm and finalize?
Yeah.
Are folks comfortable with that?
That's minor stuff, yeah.
Okay. I think that would be appropriate because that was the only piece we were waiting for, correct?
Correct.
So just a motion to issue the CFC. With the edits as discussed.
Yes. And this is going to be a complete COC, correct?
Yes.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, Buttrick?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Weeks?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we'll go ahead, do, is this going to be on paper? Do you want us to sign the hard
I
copy?
can electronically file this one as well.
When she gets the right
Okay.
stuff, you would electronic.
Right.
Okay, great.
And I'll wait to issue I'll wait to issue the COC until I get the corrected one from Joel.
Excellent.
It will need to be re-signed.
And it will need to be re-signed by Larry Carnes. Yes.
It's not a decide, we might not.
Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the commission. I've been involved with this project for about 5 years now, and you guys have always been fair and helpful in everything we've gone through and dealt with out there. And it was a good project, and glad to bring it to the town. But I just wanted to thank you guys again as a commission.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Good night.
Enforcement actions. Do you have any updates for us, Ava?
I do. One quick check. Reached out on 37 South Street, have not gotten a response.
Remind me what we were intending to try to accomplish there.
There was piles that were supposed to be removed. I don't know whether it got confirmed that they were removed. There was some plants that were firebush that were supposed to be removed.
That's my understanding of it. And I think Cassie was trying for quite some time to get in contact with the site owner. To not a lot of avail.
And who are you reaching out to? Is it Matthew Gall now?
Yes, it's Matthew Gall. So she just should change that initial. Or is it right in the agenda?
No, it says B still.
It says B.
Yeah. On 476 East Street. So I do have a more comprehensive update. So I did go out to the site. This is a site visit I will never forget. Mostly for I run in with some hornets. That's okay. I'm so sorry. It's all right. Part of the job. However, so I was out at the site with the property owner, Gretchen, and we took a look around. She told me that she inherited this. Well, she didn't quite inherit, but she inherited the contentiousness of this swale. It's a funny property. If folks are familiar, it's sort of up on the hill, and then it has these two fingers that go down to East Street, and one of the fingers is the driveway. There's a stream that comes off of the driveway and then runs down into this swale, and this is the aforementioned swale. The file is that green one, if folks would like it. And so I have the photos from my site visit, and then I also have a letter that she wrote describing the project. So perhaps we should actually start with that letter so we know her narrative of this site. I will read for the record. Dear Conservation Commission members, as we are unable to attend the next meeting of your group, I am submitting a statement about our efforts to comply with the enforcement orders on our property at 476 East Street. There were several swamp maples on our property that had abutted our neighbor's home at 472 East Street. Over the years, several large limbs fell into their yard and onto their home, generally causing much consternation and acrimony between us. For sake of harmony, we consulted with a tree service, and in the summer of 2021, they recommended taking down the trees. In August of 2021, it was predicted that the remnants of Hurricane Henry would impact our area, so we took immediate action to prevent property damage. We understand that the normal procedure would have been to have the Conservation Commission give us prior permission for all tree removal. The tree removal trampled the vegetation on that strip of property. To comply with our obligations for tree replacement and vegetation restoration, we planted 50 balsam firs, balsam trees in fall of 2021, planted 5 maples, 2 oaks, and 2 pussy willows in early summer of 2022. Otherwise left the property alone so it could reestablish. Several things have impacted our ability to restore the trees. The summer drought in 2022. Almost every winter, the stream that runs through the property and drains into a storm drain on East Street freezes over at the storm drain site, causing large ice dams to form running over the property, East Street, and often our neighbor's property. Easthampton DPW, at least on 3 occasions since winter of 2021, has driven and parked trucks and heavy equipment onto our property, trampling some of the trees. On at least 2 occasions, the DPW has used heavy equipment to dig out the stream near the drain site without our consent or prior knowledge. Every summer, the Easthampton DPW mows down a strip of vegetation on our property that abuts East Street. Our abutting neighbors mow the vegetation on our property despite requests to stop. Our neighbors at 472 East weed whack at the trunks of the maple trees that were cut in August of 2021, preventing any chance of stump sprouting. Aside from the strips where our neighbors in the DPW mow and weed whack, the area is almost completely reestablished. I cannot say with certainty how many of the replanted trees have survived in the now waist-high dense regrowth. If the commission deems it necessary to plant more trees, we will comply, but we do respectfully ask for more support to guarantee success. We've been trying for years now to remedy the situation, but there are variables, some weather-related, but mostly human, that have been out of our control and have kept this process in an unresolved state. Sincerely yours, Gretchen Fiodorowicz.
I think it's Fiodorowicz.
Yes, there we go. Here it is.
Okay.
Okay.
And can you share the photos of your visit?
Yeah, I'd like to. So here's my general sense of this project is there's this section that's regrown, which is to the left in this image. Oh, I need to change the and let me show an image of that. You have a sense of what that looks like. These are all of the actual swell itself. So this is what it looks like to the left if you're standing on East Street and you're looking at the swale, and there's this vegetated patch that's probably about 12 or 13 feet, 15 feet wide. And this is where she did the plantings in this section of what is now almost entirely herbaceous. And I went traipsing through here to look for woody vegetation. And so what I found in terms of woody vegetation, and then we'll take a look at the actual swale, which is to the right of it. I found some poplars, which were not planted. And I found one balsam fir. Poor little guy. Hanging on. Here's another poplar, about 6 feet tall. So that's some woody vegetation. But for the rest of it, and you can kind of see this gives you a sense of a larger image of the site. Let me get it a little bigger. But so the herbaceous material is to the left here. And again, as I said, it's about 15 feet wide. And it's super densely grown. Most of it's herbaceous, not much woody. I could return in the winter to get a closer look and get a sense if there's some woody vegetation that I missed that's smaller, that's not poking out like the poplars were. Here are mentioned maple stumps. And these were the 5 stumps that were, or 6 stumps that were taken down in 2021. And then this is the swale right here. And
is that where the stream was? So the canopy cover?
Yes. Precisely. So this is the resource area, is this stream right here. And currently it's got quite a bit of grass clippings and it's totally mowed all through here.
And the property owner in question is on the left?
The property owner in question, Gretchen, owns this strip to the fence. So
leftward.
Yes, leftward. Okay. Yes, exactly. And what she told me when I was out there doing this site visit with her is that she has some challenges with neighbors on both sides, and that the neighbors that also abut this stream mow this strip beyond their fence line.
So she's not doing this mowing.
She's not doing it precisely. So she's told me that she's done no maintenance of any kind in here, done no debris, no clearing, nothing. Yikes. Yikes. So this is what we see along here, and I had some more images of that beginning of this, and then so here we go. This gives you a sense. Again, we're kind of zoomed back out. This area in front, we're kind of even closer to East Street now. This was the section she was describing DPW parking their trucks on in the winter time. There's like a stretch of close to the road and to the storm drain, there's a stretch of mowed grass that's kind of next to the swale here and then goes in front of this herbaceous material. So the herbaceous like strip doesn't start until a good 6 feet back from the road in an area that's clearly mowed. And now we're heading, I walked, along the swale here back into so this is where it comes out of the woods, where there's also quite a bit of debris accumulated. Looks put there. And here you can see one of the stumps. Got one little plant holding on there, and that's what we're looking at.
Is there can you see any water running under there?
I didn't see water actively running there on my visit, but it's been relatively dry in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and it wasn't a perennial stream. I think if anything, it was an intermittent stream, but it may have just been a BEW. Does anybody remember what we had said about the resource area?
No. So the neighbors, the ones throwing the grass debris over the fence?
Yeah.
I think
that's what Gretchen thinks.
Yes.
So this is tricky because officially we can only issue an enforcement order against the property owner, right? Who's doing the violation is irrelevant under the act. It's borne by the property owner, right?
Okay.
But I do understand her frustration, and I wonder if it would be worth potentially sending a cease and desist to both properties, or at least some sort of informational letter to the adjacent property saying that this order, we want you to understand that this piece of the property that abuts yours is under an enforcement order, and these are the restrictions on it. To at least formally share that information.
Or one letter that goes to both of them.
Yeah.
So it says identical.
Right.
But has both their names on it and their addresses. Can we do that?
I mean, I don't see why we can't send any letter we want.
Yeah,
We just can't issue an official enforcement order to anyone but the property owner.
I think that could be the sign of support that Mrs. Fortalisa is asking us for.
Right.
So a cease and desist type letter as opposed to an enforcement letter to stop dumping and cutting our area, mowing.
Yeah.
Do you still have pictures from the original site visit?
Yes. Yeah, I can.
Because there was water and you
At that
could
time.
see the bank. Yeah.
Was it do you know which site visit it was?
23 or 20.
Oh, it was
way
much earlier.
Earlier than that. Right?
There's a February 2022, it looks like, and an April.
This was the site visit, I think immediately after. Here we can see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this gives you a different sense of it. Is this the photos you're looking for?
Yeah, I remember it was raining when we went.
Yeah.
You could see the water. And at the very front, so you could see the drain. That last picture.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, and that's maybe the second photo you showed is helpful because it clearly shows the full limits where vegetation was removed. If you go back a few.
Yeah, back on another.
That one.
Yeah.
And now we can, I think this demonstrates pretty nicely her good faith effort to do what was asked on the piece that's closer to her home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see the challenge that is coming from the other side.
I'm not sure exactly where she planted the trees in there, but it is notable that they were sort of further, at least the ones that I guess I really only found one tree she had planted.
Yeah.
It was, deeper in here, but perhaps she had planted some of those replacement trees
right
closer to the edge, closer
or
to
even
the
on
swale.
the other side, and they got mowed
And they
down.
got mowed down.
But
Yeah.
the grass is not piled up over that fence like it is now in 2022. That's much different than.
And that tree is gone.
Oh, that tree is gone. That's right at the end of the,
I think
by
it's
the main
gone.
road.
I think that tree is gone.
That's right on East Street.
Yeah. Let me look at the photos from this year.
Old drainages down there.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure, I have a photo that will show it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of leaf repiled up, but not as much grass clippings and things like that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that tree. I would need to go back and check.
Okay. The other thing that sticks out in the letter is references to DPW coming onto her property. And I wonder, first off, if there is some confusion about the right of way versus her property.
Right.
That's a common misunderstanding that folks have. I don't know how deep the right of way is along East Street. It's not extensive, I don't think, but that may be one part of the confusion there. I think it may be worth touching base with Diane Rossini about what's being done at this location. If the city has a bundled notice of intent or a bundled order of conditions active for maintenance.
Right.
And so Ava, if you could confirm with Diane where this maintenance work that they're doing, what category it falls in the bundled notice, to make sure that we're all on the same page about how they're following their maintenance.
Yes.
That may help to alleviate some concern here as well.
That tree's still showing on current Google Maps.
Okay.
If it looks like it's the same one that's close
Yeah.
to East Street, 'cause it's right near that little cistern.
Okay.
I wonder if they're doing extra maintenance because of like the ice dams or something, because I have a storm drain on my property and every time they come, they're like, we can't cut anything down here unless you give us permission. We can't walk on your property unless you give us permission. They're very hands off.
Right, and that's why I wonder if maybe there's some confusion about what's the right of way where they don't have to get any permissions versus what's private property. It may be that that's just misunderstood here. I don't see that there is any use in requiring replanting until we get the mowing to cease.
Yep.
Once we do get the mowing to cease and the piling of debris, I would like to see that area revegetated again, since it has clearly been completely mowed down. But I wonder if there may be some more both cost effective and quick growing and potentially some shorter growing species that would provide some of the shading of the waterway or the resource area that we were looking for, but also not have some of the concerns around falling limbs that have been the source of historic issues. So maybe we can work with both owners ideally to come up with a planting plan that they could agree to and everybody can feel comfortable with, that would also meet the restoration goals. But I think there's the first thing we need to do is get everybody on the same page about what is and is not allowed at this section.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize it, but this is a weird parcel where the residence is like way up in the back, and then there's like these two little fingers that come down. So I think this is where, look at a mass map here. Thinking this is where the cutting was, and then that's that person's driveway. So that 476 is completely surrounded by this parcel.
Pull up. Oh, you've got it.
Yeah.
So which one is the parcel in question?
476 is the parcel in question. This whole large one.
Okay.
And this resource area does not show up on Mass Mapper.
Right.
So the resource area is like right in here. Where my cursor is. And this one over here is her driveway.
Yeah, there have long been questions. There are all these little like gullies that come down around Tom. Some are intermittent streams, some are perennial streams, some are not streams at all.
Right.
And there's no wetlands up gradient, so there's no jurisdiction in some cases. I don't know I don't remember how we arrived at jurisdiction for this particular one, but
I think from a project when this house was built in the 90s, there was a wetland delineation done. Okay.
Okay. Great to know that right off the top of your head.
So 470, which one is 4? I can't see the screen. It's
Yeah,
my
so
light
this
screen
is,
for some reason.
should I make it bigger? This is 476, is this large one with
And
the
which one's
feet.
472?
And 472
That
is
one.
this one, yep. And this is like, as I said, the stream is like right in here.
So that's the one with the fence that's probably throwing things over the fence. Right?
Exactly, yeah, they've got the fence right here.
And the neighbor on the other side that's mentioned is that one?
Yep, and she mentions that other neighbor, and I saw a little strip on this side over here on the other side of the like 13-foot vegetated area that appeared mowed. It was felt of net less concern because it was on the other side of all that herbaceous material.
It is a really very strange situation.
Sure.
From a property line perspective.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also means she's very unlikely to see this happening, right? She's
She's pretty far.
Yeah.
This is a hill.
Yep.
Mhm.
So actually taking a look at the layout here, I think it's worth including both of the properties on either side of that strip in this letter.
Okay.
Let's try and get all 3 owners that are adjacent to this area on board. Okay. Yeah, and I'd say, Ava, let's draft a letter, get that out, see if we can get a response to begin with.
Yep.
And then we'll look to you to give us a sense of what you're hearing back. Maybe it makes sense to try and get all 3 of them to come to a meeting.
Yep.
But let's start with sending out the letter and seeing what you hear back. Okay. We'll kind of adapt from there. Any other thoughts?
Nope, I think that's great.
Would the commission like to review the letter and send it in an email before I send it out?
If you feel like you need feedback, feel free to reach out to us, but if you're comfortable, go ahead. Okay.
Do we need to ask to have a neighbor that was dumping remove? What is that?
Well, again, we can't enforce
We
against
can't
someone that's not the
enforce
property owner, so
Okay.
yeah, we don't have the authority to
So
do
it's
that.
the
It should-
owner's responsibility.
The owner's responsible for their property. Yeah.
Okay.
Which in this case with that property layout is particularly onerous. That's because I'm sure that those other 2 abutters probably think that that's essentially theirs, or they're the ones that have to look at it, or
Yeah.
I'm sure there's all sorts of tension around that.
Like parcel and trying to get that piece to the city. Or
Yeah.
Something.
Right.
Trying to get rid of it. Yeah. So,
All right. See where we can land on that. If we can make some headway.
That's good. Will do. Moving on to, I don't have an update on 93 Northampton Street.
Okay.
For the enforcement action. For Loudville, item D, I have, I'm requesting, so the piece that's remaining on this enforcement order is this donation, Scomic Land Trust. And the Carlos Gonzalez is requesting, and it sounds like him and Casper had spoke about the money being returned from escrow, the GZA, the money that was held in escrow for the GZA vegetation restoration. And it's that project that piece of the enforcement order is complete. And so he's requesting that money to come back from escrow to him, and that then he will make that $5,000 donation.
Okay.
And in my procedure of trying to carry that out, the city asked for, the treasurer asked for a vote from the commission indicating that the commission is ready for the money to leave escrow and return to Carlos. So I was just requesting that the commission could vote on that, on the return of money from escrow to Carlos, knowing that a certificate of compliance will not be issued until that donation, or sorry, not a certificate, the enforcement order won't be lifted until the $5,000 donation is made.
Okay. So would the motion be appropriate?
Is there any question?
No,
Does everybody
no
understand?
concerns, yeah, no concerns.
Okay. Then yes.
So I will move that the commission support that the money held in escrow for 6973 Loudonville be returned to the project to facilitate the donation to the Piscana Conservation Trust. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Then all those in favor, Butcher?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Weeks?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Open space updates. I reached out again to Chris Politan from Land Stewardship Inc. Are we ready to give up on them? Or
I am.
okay, so time to reach out to a new.
I think so, yeah. And I had the thought when we were discussing the co-op that may be somebody to reach out to. Did anybody catch?
Matt,
you know his name.
Yeah, Matt Verson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do folks feel about reaching out to him and seeing if he may be able to help us there?
He seemed
knowledgeable.
It's certainly worth, opening the discussion.
Yeah. Nothing seems to be happening for a long time.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's been like, I feel like it's been 2 years since we've gotten any real action out of Politan.
I think we would need to re-procure with some kind of public invitation or process or something. I mean, the dollar values are not big, but we.
I don't think we had to go through an official procurement before, did we?
We did, yeah.
We had to get multiple quotes?
We went through some kind of process.
They're never get back to us on a quote, so we won't have to worry about it.
Ages ago.
Yeah.
But do we actually have to find like 3 firms to reach out to? If it's under, I thought if we were under 10,000, we didn't have to do that.
I think we could use best business practices or
Yeah,
something like that.
I don't think we had to have 3 firms because I don't think we could find 3 firms that would take on such a small project.
I remember so for one phase when Jess Hardwood was here, we did a scope of work and I think it was for the tree cutting element of it and got quotes from some tree companies and
that I do vaguely remember. I don't remember going through that process for the invasives piece, but it's been so long
It's in the
now.
file somewhere.
Yeah, I'm looking at the file right now. I see the LSI proposal, but I'm not seeing like
Anyone else?
I'm not seeing any kind of RFP or anyone else's proposal. But I haven't spent a ton of time in this file.
Eva, could you coordinate with the CPA to find out what our
Sure.
procedure is? If that's you.
Yes, I can.
And maybe also Mike Owens up in the procurement office.
Yeah. So
Um,
the question is multiple bids required?
Yeah, fill him in on what we're trying to do. The fact that we've had this long, unfulfilled contract and that we'd like to move on and seek, a quote from someone else. We think we have someone in mind that would be able to do the work. What does our process need to look like? And do we have to reach out to multiple firms?
And just to clarify about Land Stewardship Inc., they never billed the city. Is that the case?
They may have built for some section of cut and stem treating, but that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So it's,
I think we had paid for one phase.
mhm.
There may be some outstanding work from 1.5 years or 2 years ago that they never billed for that Cassie couldn't get an invoice for.
Or they never did.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
definitely work in their contract
Yeah,
that was never
done.
completed.
Yes, we know that.
But there may have also been some work that was completed and never billed.
Okay.
So you might also ask him what his thoughts are on that.
Okay.
Do we need to continue holding funds aside for that, or can we go ahead
Just
and
let it
move
go.
on? I mean, at some point.
Write a letter saying we're done.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're under contract to do things they're not doing, right?
Right.
So I feel like some kind of,
Contract.
yes, I feel like some kind of formal letter, you know, and say,
Yeah.
please send it all. And you know, outstanding you
Right.
by such as a day and all that sort of stuff. It's something
Right.
that we need to do, you know.
Okay. I'll check with my colleagues. Great. Great. So I'll wait to reach out to Matt until we have a better sense.
You might as well gauge his interest.
Yeah, right. See if he's
Yep.
even consider it.
Yeah.
And in the file, I will find a sense of what the commission would be looking for, something similar to what the commission was looking for with LSI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Excellent. Yeah. 385 Main Street CR. So I have a meeting this week with Mark Walmsley to get a more, with Dave Rothstein. I spoke with both of them last week, but I have a meeting with Dave on Wednesday for the holistic picture of where this CR stands.
I'm sorry, Ava, can you remind us who those two people are?
Yes, absolutely. Mark Walmsley from Kestrel.
Okay.
And Dave Rothstein from Mass Audubon.
Okay.
Apologies. And just pull my notes from that. So I thought I could give the commission just my understanding from those phone calls, knowing that I hopefully will have a much more thorough report by next week or 2 weeks from now. My understanding is that the parcel is not yet purchased. There was an extension on deadlines. It got moved to the next cycle, but Mark Walmsley from Kestrel has assured me that he believes that Kestrel will be purchasing that back 40 acres by the end of this calendar year.
Okay.
And that they had to reapply for the Conservation Partnership Grant. That was what pushed it back. And so they're planning on receiving that. That's a grant they had already received that they didn't use it enough time. They're planning on, they will be receiving that in late September or early October, which is why the deadline is pushed to the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
And they plan to have the conservation restriction fully completed by next June is the timeline on that, but that they are hoping to have the CR before that. It sounds like one piece that's holding it up is the splitting of the parcel. So as we spoke about during the 385 Main Street hearing earlier, the property is currently in 3 parcels. It's going to be split. It's going to be reconfigured and split into 2 parcels. And they, Mark Walmsley stated that they need to wait to put the CR on just the back until that parcel needs to be split before they can actually put the CR on the back 40 acres that will be in it. And he has a plan for how that's going to go through planning board. The other thing he noted is that he suspects they may form an LLC for this project to manage this splitting of the parcels.
Okay.
So that's the main update I have from Mark. From Dave, when I spoke with him, he said that Mass Audubon is ready to go. They've got a draft of the CR. I plan on reviewing that thoroughly this week. Mass Audubon is planning on having the majority of the responsibilities, perhaps all of the responsibilities, but then having Easthampton Conservation Commission have enforcement responsibilities, and then any supplemental monitoring responsibilities that the Conservation Commission would want.
What was enforcement something that we agreed to or explicitly disagreed to? I was not here for that conversation.
My recollection is that we did not wish to be involved.
Excuse me.
I mean, I would defer to whatever the record in our minutes says, but I think we didn't want to wade into that.
I can come back through the minutes. Okay. This project. I'm not sure.
I think I remember being like, that we just don't have the capacity to do
Right,
much
yeah,
in that
right.
regard, you know?
I know we were not going to take on monitoring. Maybe enforcement, I mean, to some degree, enforcement falls to us
Mhm.
regardless.
Right.
So
Yeah,
maybe we said that
okay.
was fine, but I just don't recall.
And just to clarify, Mass Audubon would also have enforcement
Okay.
orders. So we would be like an additional party on that.
Okay.
So that might be fine. We should, at some point before all of this plays out, we should confirm what was in our earlier notes, but
Yes.
it sounds like it was probably in keeping with what was
There-
discussed.
So just to like, say out loud what enforcement means.
Yeah.
As I try to understand it for myself, we have enforcement of the Wetlands Protection Act, that's just what we have, but this is enforcement of the terms of the conservation
Yeah.
restriction
Right.
against the property owner, which is Kestrel Land Trust, right?
Probably.
Making sure that
Yeah.
Kestrel doesn't do anything awful.
Or that anyone else does either.
Right.
And then
And I imagine
Like
it
a third
also,
party.
there'll be things
Trespass or
specified
whatever.
in,
Yes.
the CR in terms of what is or is not allowed on the property. So it's probably, if there was a proposal in the future to add trails or something, we might be part of the conversation around
Okay.
making sure that that's in keeping with the CR. I imagine that would be maybe part of enforcement as well.
We even had a hard time enforcing. There was ATV usage on our Borachowski parcel back when.
Yeah.
And hard time, we couldn't even enforce that. We
Right.
had
Right.
The old
This
dare
is-
to go. to
I just
somebody.
pulled up the minutes from May and it says, Agent Traeger explained that Kestrel Land Trust was seeking clarification as to how the duties would be divided between the commission and the co-holder of the CR Mass Audubon. Commission agrees to retaining the right to enforce as proposed and also agree to determining the details of monitoring through the baseline report and MOU with Mass Audubon. The notification and approvals, they wanted to know if it would be possible to have it written such that the commission be notified of the initiation of these matters and then be given an opportunity to choose to be involved through the rest of the process or not. From that point.
What date was that?
That was May 6th of this year.
Okay, great. I'll take a look at those.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for finding those, Commissioner Parr.
Withdraw everything I just said.
I will just state, I suppose for the commissioners that I do have, some interest in conservation restriction monitoring, but I understand that these monitoring projects are in perpetuity claims, and I understand that the city may not be interested in taking on anything. I think a partnership in this way is a great opportunity.
I agree. And I suspect we probably hold the CR on other properties that we may or may not be meeting our monitoring requirements for. So
Excellent.
in your free time, something we can explore.
It'd be great to get out to our parcels.
Yeah.
Once.
It really would. That's
Yeah.
right.
I think my youngest daughter, who is now 12, I had her in one of them backpacks from Bob when she was 2 when we last looked around at our parcels.
Excellent.
In like a systematic way. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really is something as you get more settled and start to figure out where you have time. We have not done a lot with our open space management just because there hasn't been time. So starting to get a handle on that would be great. And yeah, and I don't think I've ever, well, yeah, if that's the last time you remember, I've never been involved in one of those walks. So.
And that was for accessibility for some open.
Well, maybe an earlier update to the open space plan.
Yeah,
something like that.
Because Cassie did do a bunch of accessibility assessments for the open space plan 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, but this is before her time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Jay got all the good parcels, which was like trying to go people's. All that stuff. I got the nice ones.
Is there, Commissioner Rector, do you know if there's a map somewhere of all of our open space parcels?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
There should
I
be
just
a
don't
layer
know
in the
where.
city's GIS.
Okay, great.
I don't know if that explicitly spells out who's in charge of each one, but I would also the open space plan was updated, I think maybe it's 2 years ago now. And I believe that has maps and I want to say it had a table that listed all of the properties. Excellent, somewhere in there. There were a lot of tables.
I look forward to exploring this.
Yeah, nice parcels that we got.
We do.
Yeah. Also some, not so nice ones, but.
Excellent.
All right,
All right.
compliance update.
Yep. Okay. So for Pleasant Street Mills, I think I already said this to the commission, just that there hasn't been a rain event to qualify for that 48-hour post. So still on my list. Moving down the line to Loudville Road, I just noted that Cassie left a note that I'm not sure was ever read at a previous meeting, but perhaps the commission could clarify for me.
Which, where is this?
Yeah, we are down on I-8I.
Okay.
And I don't think it was read at the 8/12 meeting because the meeting was ended abruptly.
Okay.
So the note, and here, let me just project it. Please do stop me if this was visited before. That she received a message from a resident relating to a concern that the steep slope near Unit 14 is too steep or unstable. Though the site sediment has remained contained and no sediment has breached the perimeter, the commission should note this for consideration for any future COC request. The other steep slopes previously mentioned have been regraded, but this one is associated with a previously approved new pipe installation for the main basin design change. They also raised concern that the new portion of the basin is not properly being protected from sediment, which is also something to consider for when they present the completed stormwater system. So I think I will keep that in the notes for now, knowing that a COC will eventually come down the line.
Okay. Do we know what's meant by the new portion of the basin not being properly protected from sediment? That might be worth a visit.
Okay.
To see what's going on there.
Yep.
And does anybody know where Unit 14 is off the top of their head? I want to say that might be one of the one, well, and it kind of sounds like it's one of the ones that are kind of backing up to the basin.
That would make sense.
And I believe we had communicated to Carlos that we wanted to see as-built that showed the grading so we could compare the actual grading to the proposed grading, correct? I remember asking for that at some point. I know we haven't seen it yet.
Yep, there were concerns over one steep slope right at the edge where, like, looking at the drawings qualitatively, it looks like the yard is flatter and the slope is steeper than was shown on the drawings.
Right. So that's something, I know I remember stating it when he was here for a meeting, so it should be on their radar.
Yeah.
But before we issue a COC, we're definitely going to want to see an as-built of grading, especially in those areas. Yep. To be able to confirm that it matches the plans.
I can communicate that to Carlos.
Can you remind us, Ava, do you know what the status is of their modifications to the basin? Is that it's in progress? It's not complete, is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
In terms of what they're proposing or in terms of the construction of it for the modifications?
I thought we had approved the change, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know if they've actually done it yet?
I don't know.
I did receive a call from a resident saying that the basin had emptied of water.
Oh, well, that's something.
Yes, the resident was concerned about the frogs.
But that's, the
So
frogs,
it looks like
we're never
18
supposed to have a home there.
18 looks like it's right there next to the basin. That's the correct 18 on that.
It's
that's a wetland and that's
14.
No, this is 18. That's what I'm looking at. If that's the unit 18, Or that, is that,
I thought we were talking about 14.
14
oh,
was the
I'm
one in
sorry,
this
okay,
note.
then that's the
Okay,
one
so
by
it's
the,
over.
by the,
So this is this is the area that we looked at. Or is it? I'm turned around now. No.
So the enforcement is actually back here.
Yeah, so this was the one we looked at on the site visit. Okay. I'm not sure I'm not sure which slope they're concerned about.
14, maybe something.
Oh,
like
I'm still
that.
pointing at the wrong one. Sorry, I'm over here.
Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
This is the really steep.
That's right.
Yeah.
That whole site.
Yeah, this was though, I remember walking down here to look at where they were proposing to do that. This is very steep here, similar to what we were seeing over here, where it looks like they had kind of created a plateau and a sharp drop. That was not as shown in the plan.
I'm thinking that might have been one area that I was looking.
There's gotta be a drawing with elevations on in here too, that shows a little bit more of the elevations.
Mhm.
All right.
Maybe this area. Or maybe it's steep right up to the edge now instead of, I don't know. It's not looking familiar.
Yeah, I was thinking it was this, but maybe it is further. It's definitely between two units.
Yeah. And that's the only spot where there's like a lot of room between two units.
Yeah,
Going down to the
right.
line.
Yeah, you're right. If it is this, these grades, I think, came back more like here.
Yeah.
And there was this drop off.
Yep.
So.
Like this whole thing got pushed out.
Mhm. Okay.
So I'll go do a site visit and take a look at this section described by the resident
Okay.
and take a look at the basin.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be good to know what the status is there and if you're seeing any concern with sediment accumulation in there. Hopefully it will actually be empty and you'll be able to see what's going on at the bottom.
Yeah.
Hopefully the frogs found a home in the wetland that's immediately adjacent, which is a better place to be. And
I hope
it's
so
a water
too.
basin that's not supposed to hold water.
Okay, the next one that I have an update on is Beacon Solar, which does indeed have a continuance to June of 2025. Yep. So I visited the site. So the site is large, as you folks know. So I did my best here to get the images on it. I did my best to take images on this visit to orient the commissioners, as I did see silt fencing down sort of sporadically throughout the site, in some places that appeared to be concerning. Namely that it appeared like the property owner or a relative of the property owner has been driving over silt fencing in the buffer zone, or nearly in the resource area. So I annotated a plan as I went and I numbered these images. I did print out a copy of the annotated plan. I think didn't look quite as good as I wanted it to, given how large of a site it is, but I did number them in order. Okay. I can also send you, would it be helpful if I sent you the annotated plan? And then you can zoom in on your tablet?
Well, I'm looking at the photos. So,
Yes, also the photos for sure. And I'll show the photos up here. The other thought I had is the nice thing about a tablet is how you can zoom in.
Mm-hmm.
So my other thought was that if the commissioners wanted to use my tablet and follow along, I annotated the plan as I went, and with arrows pointing which direction I took the image.
Okay.
So whatever the commissioners would prefer to do for this site. This is 50 Florence Road. This is not the solar site that's coming for their certificate of compliance that keeps being continued. It's the other one. Okay. So this is image 1. The plan, so you come down off of Florence Road, you drive down this.
Do you have this back?
Yeah, of course. You drive down this path. They have silt fencing all along the path. Most of that silt fencing appears to be up.
Mm-hmm.
You cross over 2 wetland swales or 2 wetland sort of like long skinny bits.
Yep.
The silt fencing looks good. You get down to this little T of sorts with a little butt, and that's where the images begin here. So image 1, the silt fencing is looking low, it's sagging, and we see a mowed path here. So it appears like someone is mowing a path through right along the buffer zone, right in the buffer zone along the resource area. The resource area is right over here in this image, and is crossing over the silt fencing.
Mm-hmm.
Image 2, this shows more of the mowed area. So this is substantially lower than the vegetation around it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's indicated with the 2 red lines on your sketch?
Yes,
okay.
Precisely. Yeah, that was like a rough sense of where it looked mowed to me.
Okay. So they're coming off the road across the silt fence into this mowed path.
That is what it looks like to me. Or they're coming the other, other way,
right.
wherever that path goes. They didn't follow it to its end.
Okay.
We've got a lot of images of this, so not of this particular spot.
Yeah.
So just for orientation, the silt fencing looks fine here, but this is where we're at. This is image 3.
Yep.
That's oriented up the path that the approved road.
Okay.
And all this work is happening over here, or not work. All this. Okay, so now we go a little bit further down, into we're at spot 4, which is like the next mark if you're looking at the physical plan. And there's another mowed path. Do you have the other?
Some of us have.
They're in the order if you start up at the corner.
I now know that I will make them
We were
larger.
here and now we're here. Is that kind
So
of?
we're actually right here. Yeah, that's a 4. Yeah, I'll make them bigger. It's hard with such a large plan, you know?
Right.
But yes, I'll make them larger. Yeah, so we're right kind of at the edge of the solar arrays here. Like there's solar arrays on either side here.
Yep.
And we have wetland to the left of my perspective on this image. So like the wetland is right here, and this image is looking at another mowed path.
Yep.
And the silt fence clearly driving right over the silt fence there. Okay. So that's 4. I'm going to continue on to the next mark. This is at number 5, really close to the resource areas there. Didn't seem like evidence of driving, but the silt fence is down. We're going with the vegetation. And then here at 6, at the other side of this resource area, it looks like there's another mowed section.
So what I've not seen so far relative to silt fence being down is any exposed soils.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing any exposed soils except for this one section that we'll get to.
That we haven't gotten to yet. Okay.
Should we keep going in order? Should we skip ahead to that? Okay.
Keep going in order, please.
Okay. 7, we're at 6. Okay. And now here at 7, wetlands kind of back over here.
Sorry, we weren't seeing the cursor move.
Oh, sorry. This is wetland is over
I see it.
here.
Okay.
Yep. the section where this is an upland section. Yeah. You
And
can
that's
see the contour lines.
And the huge Japanese knotweed.
Yes,
in the
that's a
background.
Japanese knotweed mound for sure. There's a few of them on the site. Yep. Okay, so here is our section. We're at 8. This is where there was silt fence down over here, and we saw the images of erosion from. Yeah, you recognize these images from last commission's meeting. The solar team put the silt fence back up. That's the silt fence you see right here, and spray painted on the back of it, "Do not drive over," or like, "Please leave alone," something of that sorts. And the property owner appeared to make a different path. So that's where this section is, where the silt fence
And just drove over it adjacent to where it said "don't drive over."
Classic.
Great, okay.
So I think this is our spot on the site with the most amount of sediment moved, and I don't think it's recent, or I think it is, recent in the scheme of things, but not since the last time the commission looked at this site. This is the image similar to what we saw before. This is on the inside of the silt fencing, not into the road.
The inside being
Let me pull this.
within the limit of disturbance?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure, within the limit of disturbance. So I'm standing on the road here. I'm looking at the silt fence into what is buffer zone of the wetland.
So outside the limit of disturbance.
Sorry, yes. Outside of the limit of disturbance, yes.
So all of that soil is in moving towards the resource area.
Yes.
Okay. That's a problem.
Yes. And
Okay,
that,
I'm sorry, it says right there, erosion in the buffer.
yeah. And so that, just for orientation, this is where the resource area is right here. And this is where image 10 was taken.
Okay.
In gold. Looking likely into the buffer zone.
And who is the member?
Yeah, I can't remember who owns this. This is
It's still a golf property.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Right, always clear half the.
Is that sediment that is run onto that area that's supposed to be protected, or is that disturbance within that area?
I'm pretty sure that is disturbance within that area. That's what it looks like, that someone has been driving over this and has been messing up the soils.
So those are ruts.
Those are ruts.
Is there water ruts in
Some
there?
are water.
I think some of them are water ruts. Yeah,
Water ruts.
I think some of them are water ruts. And you can
see tire tracks in there also.
yeah, right in that image. And this was new, like from my site visit on the 19th or the 20th or
The 20th.
the 20th. This new section where someone drove over the silt fence adjacent to where they had spray painted, like, "Please don't touch."
Mm-hmm.
That was new from in that 10-day period. Jason Brown on the Signal Energy team, who I did my initial site visit with, told me that he thinks it's a relative of the property owners who's using the property to hunt.
Involved getting firewood.
Yeah,
Probably.
or to hunt was
Or to
the,
hunt.
was the note.
He does both, I think.
There is quite a considerable amount of these mowed paths though, which appear to, take some.
Is there a machine hanging around that does mowing?
I didn't see a
The old
machine.
farm?
It's a large property. I
Yeah,
didn't see the whole site.
So Jason didn't know who was doing them.
I'm not sure, Jason, he might know the name of the person. I didn't ask that, or I don't remember receiving that
But he
information.
didn't think it was anyone from his company.
No, he distinctly thought it was not someone on the solar team. He thought it was a relative of the property owner.
But the mowing, I mean, it is kind of tough because our order defines activities or defines what can and can't be done relative to solar activities, but it doesn't mean that activities that historically would have taken place on the parcel and just, like would have continued have to cease, like if it's if there are upland buffer zone or non-buffer zone areas that were mowed, you know, generally historically, like, it's hard to say that as a stop because there's an order of conditions that covers adjacent areas, but I guess I don't know.
Well, it's not an active farm anymore, right?
Right, they're not, they don't get any agricultural exemptions anymore because it's not in agriculture. It's been converted to solar. So they don't have that explanation. If there's any, are the wetlands still flagged?
They didn't appear to be flagged when I was out.
Okay. So it's gonna be hard to know whether any of the mowing is taking place in resource areas proper. If it is, that's clearly a violation, because alteration of vegetation would be a violation.
It's quite close, I will say, like on numerous accounts. We haven't made our way through. Perhaps the commission doesn't need to see all the way through, but there's, you know, it's many of these images are like right on the edges of these resource areas where he mowed these paths.
The other thing, I mean, obviously the sediment disturbance, do you see evidence that it's moving towards the resource area in any of these areas, or any actual resource area impacts?
Because that's where you showed all that soil disturbance. It's hard to tell from the picture, but it kind of looked like it went
Number 10.
uphill toward the resource area. That looks like it's going uphill back toward the wetland, not downhill.
Right. It's hard to tell.
The resource area is lower than the other area.
Right. I mean, the resource
Hard to tell
areas.
the photo, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a next step, I didn't spend a lot of time in the actual resource areas on this site visit. A next step could be to go visit this resource area and see if I'm seeing any sediment.
Where you're hunting catches.
yeah, where's some
And
yeah.
sediment down here, that's not, shouldn't be there.
Because mowing, do we have, the other thing we should do is consult the order of conditions, because I can't recall if we had any restrictions on, like, I don't think we have any limit of mowing on this site, do we? Baked into the order?
But they have to be able to keep their panels clear. That doesn't mean they can build roads through the property.
But certainly not maintaining their silt fences as they're supposed to be is a violation, both of their NIPT's permit and our permit. And again, the only person we can issue an enforcement against is the owner, not the solar developer or the contractor. So I think probably at least a cease and desist letter.
Yeah.
Regarding, if nothing else, I think we need to determine if there's any other potential violation here, but certainly they're violating the order of their permit by
The silt fencing.
destroying the silt fencing repeatedly. Are there areas that they're completely done working?
Well, so this is the interesting question, right? Like, I think along much of this road, they are essentially done working, like all the way until we get back into the images, until we get to like image 17, until we get back to array 4. So I'll just take us quickly there. Like some of these sections, I noted these perhaps because I thought this was interesting. Like here on image 13, we have silt fencing down. This to me appears like it just came down on its own, like it wasn't maintained. Doesn't appear like anyone tampered with it. But the road is lower, is several feet lower than the surrounding silt fencing. And this road is still being used to get back to the fourth array, which is at the very back, so we can get to there.
Which one is the fourth array?
It's this array. It's this large one
This
in
whole
like
thing?
CXO6.
Okay.
Here we are back here at image 18 at the back of, we are at the gate of array 18.
Okay.
Or
So they are
array
still
4.
traveling the full length of that road.
They're
with
still,
equipment.
exactly.
Okay.
But I don't know how much. I will say they regraded under the arrays, the solar panels since the last time I was there. So in the last 10 days, when I was there on the 20th, there was these big puddles, and they freshly regraded them. Yeah. It's looking pretty down. It's looking pretty done, but I'm not sure actually. I don't know the steps needed to finish a solar project.
So I think the other thing we could explore with it's the developer you've been talking to that's maintaining the erosion controls.
I think it is Pete Warren from Signal Energy is my connection.
So you could discuss with him what's left in terms of work. They're going to continue to use that road as an access road in perpetuity, and we're not going to have them have silt fence along it forever.
Right.
So if they're done with active construction work and they're not going to be transporting equipment and things are stable along that road, perhaps we can talk about taking out some or all of the silt fences if they are continuing to cause problems. Until they have permission to take them out, though, it is their responsibility to make sure on a daily basis that they are intact and functioning. And presumably they have agreements in place with the landowner.
Yeah.
So they should be communicating that problem to the landowner. In addition to us potentially sending a cease and desist. And I don't know, do we want to issue a cease and desist or an enforcement? And they're clearly in violation of their permit by not maintaining these.
Again, they're not the ones running them over, but they still need to maintain them.
Right. Well, and the enforcement order is going to go to the property owner.
Right, which they're not going to probably do anything about it.
Sounds like there's one more piece of information to get with another site visit.
Yes, an assessment of the actual resource areas. Is that what you're referring to, Commissioner Lecter? Yep.
So what were you saying? You didn't think you'd do anything about it? We sent the enforcement order.
Well, I don't think the property owners, I'm guessing it's the property owners, the ones who's doing this.
And so if he doesn't do anything, we don't have it. Maybe we should send him.
Well, and the other thing that you can do, Ava, is reach out to EPA because EPA has authority over the site under their NIPD's permit.
Okay.
They do have keys.
Right.
That we don't have.
Yep. Reach out to EPA.
Yeah, you could let them know that you've noted repeated violations in terms of the stormwater controls. See if they want to do anything about it. And their jurisdiction's a little bit different because their jurisdiction's just a bit different. But I think Dan's right that we need to have a better understanding of whether there's actual resource area impacts or if we're just seeing buffer zone impacts.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that site, this looks like this would be the spot.
Okay.
Otherwise the ground looks relatively stable. Which is good.
So yeah, so I would reinforce to Signal that it is their responsibility to make sure that these are checked and maintained daily. find out if where they are in terms of use of that road for construction. And if there's a discussion to be had about eliminating some of the controls so they don't have to keep maintaining them daily. And do we want to issue a letter as well, or do we want to try and reach the owner via signal and put it on them as the site contractor to sort this out?
Try to see if we can get Signal to fix things and see if they'll help us.
And we've had most contact with Signal, so that seems the most direct route.
Mhm.
And are they leasing the land? That their arrangement?
Presumably, I don't know.
I mean, my guess is Signal is frustrated with it too.
Yeah.
We can just say like your Signal, like we are participating, enforcing against the property owner for these violations, you know. Or something, you know, just. Please let us know if you have another avenue to remedy these issues or something, you know.
Right.
Do we CC the owner on it?
We could certainly send a letter to all of the parties, yeah.
Please. I had another question. I was going through what you sent us, and so they were supposed to have a landscape plan and plant all sorts of plants.
Mhm.
Was that ever checked on? The plantings.
They, to my knowledge, have not asked us to check on anything in terms of their compliance at this point.
Yeah, 'cause it was not sure. There was maybe 30, 40 plants.
Yeah, I know there was a buffer screening over here, I think. I don't remember if there was, I don't know that there was planting anywhere else. That's the only area I remember talking about. Where they have a visual barrier to,
Neighborhood.
yeah, whatever street this is. I forget what that is over there.
Is it the circular?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did the Maxine?
Yes.
is that Maxine?
Maxine stuff.
This.
I guess so, yeah, and this would, is this the tree planting?
And I do think they also had an obligation to handle invasives, including those mounds of knotweed. Yeah.
Awesome.
And those will need to be handled before they come through COC.
There was a drainage claim complaint from Maxine Circle too, like a couple weeks, months ago. I think. Which
Had to do with the tree plantings, didn't it?
maybe,
The incomplete treatment.
I'm not sure how those would have been related. You remember what?
Was it the grading and the drainage? They were concerned it was gonna go down into the neighborhood.
Stormwater or
That sounds like a likely complaint, but what would that have had to do with the tree plantings?
I think that's what you said. There's a complaint.
I will say, just looking at Maxine Circle on the map, I will say I took some images at the back of the array. I walked the whole back of the array. Let me reshare this screen. It was really wet back there. There were cattails growing,
Interesting.
which was
There is supposed to be a wetland back
Yeah,
there.
wetland
So,
area.
yeah.
so there you go.
yeah.
Anyway, I guess I'm just pointing that out. I thought somebody from the solar team was gonna meet with a resident or something like that. So, and I don't think there was any action for us
Okay.
necessarily, but I'm just highlighting it, should it be something that we hear more about.
It's my understanding that they've not met with the residents,
Okay.
but I can check on that. Because there was increased flooding since they started the construction of the solar array into their backyard.
Yeah, and I think we said that could be due to a lot of different factors.
Yeah, this is slowly coming back to me. I think we talked about the fact that it had maybe if this would, I want to say this was like early summer, spring. We talked about how wet it had been, and that could be simply a factor of the rain and the fact that they're surrounded by wetlands. Mm-hmm. So to recap, we're going to put together a letter to all parties about what's been observed and the obligation to maintain the silt fence daily. That ultimately that obligation falls on the property owner. We will issue an enforcement if we don't see the activity cease. Simultaneously discuss with Signal what their status is and if there's a viable conversation to be had about removing some of the erosion controls. I feel like there was a third piece that I've already forgotten.
The site visit to see
if there's any actual resource area. Yep.
And then there was mention of possibly reaching out to EPA.
Should I wait? Should I do that now?
Give Signal another chance to correct things.
Yeah, I think I will leave that to your judgment, Ava. If you feel like things are moving in the right direction, don't feel like you need to do that. But if it seems like we're not getting anywhere, feel free to reach out to them as a courtesy.
That sounds
Why
like
they just refer back to us as no, they do.
I'm not sure honestly how they would handle it.
Is there any use in looping in DB?
You could reach out to Mark Simpson and see if he has any advice or thoughts as well. I don't know that he'll have any suggestions outside of issuing an enforcement order, which is what we're currently exploring. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's, if there is, if there is like an enforceable offense, I think it's a good case for an enforcement order, particularly since probably not the developer, probably is the property owner, would be enforcing against the property owner, trying to make them stop what is happening that shouldn't be happening. And seems like a reasonable outcome.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
We are down to item O. Nope, we are down to item P. Tasty Top Development. Don't have much to say on this. I'm not sure if any of the commissioners have anything they want to say about this, except that the report to the commission that the mayor reached out to me, or the mayor's staff reached out to me just for an update on the status of the project, and I provided a memo.
Yep, and that was a nice update. So.
Yep. I don't have any more. I don't have any more updates on where she is at on this project. I did also watch. I revisited the last Wednesday city council meeting, and it was not, Frank Demaris was not present. Didn't appear to be any updates.
Okay, so as far as we know, it hasn't been discussed at council.
That has been my understanding. So the council members are aware of it.
Okay.
Down to item P. No, that's the wrong letter. Down to item Q. We really don't unfortunately have an update on that. The city solicitor, our interim planning director, is following up with the city solicitor through the channels. I checked in with DPW. DPW confirmed this was a legal gray area, and that if the city just owned the property, we wouldn't need a separate bond. But because it's the Easthampton Housing Authority, it's a murky zone. Mark Tanner, the city solicitor, was reached out to last week. We haven't heard yet. I think the commission, we can wait for a response from him. I think that's or I suppose the commission could require a stormwater bond, but there was an additional stormwater bond, but there was complications. Ron Mendez described complications in that process.
Yeah, I think the right course of action is to let the city solicitor weigh in on it.
Okay, great.
I had a question, but I don't remember what it was, so carry on, sorry. I'm gonna come back to me.
I don't have anything else under active projects. Moving on to general business.
Yes.
I added in the edits and of the 8:26-24 minutes. There's a hard copy floating around on the table with Commissioner August's edits. Anything, Commissioner August?
Have folks had a chance to review the August 26 minutes?
Yes,
Red.
Anyone care to make a motion regarding those minutes?
I'll move that we approve the August 26 minutes.
Sorry. All those in favor, Patrick?
Aye.
Ryan?
aye.
August? Weeks?
Aye.
Carr?
Aye.
Motion carries. We reached the point in the meeting where I have a hard time remembering your name, so I'll call you when you're at the end.
And the wetlands ordinance discussion, our last general business item, I gave my first read through this week, but I need more time to incorporate the edits.
Yeah.
Great. And I think where we left it was once you had a chance to get your head
Catch
around
up
it,
on
you were gonna reach
things,
out
yeah.
to the
Yes.
subgroup to get,
Okay, precisely.
great. Sounds good. All right.
Oh, pardon me.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I just was gonna note, at the request of Commissioner Weeks, just a discussion of the upcoming calendar. Our next meeting is September 23rd, but I just wanted to note that the meeting after that is the first Thursday in October.
First Tuesday, Monday.
The first Monday, pardon me, yes, the first Monday in October, the first Monday in October, October 7th, because of Indigenous Peoples' Day, the
Right, okay.
meeting was pushed a week forward.
Okay, thank you.
So October is the 7th and the
28th.
okay,
So there will be 3 weeks between those meetings.
okay.
Okay.
Any other general business?
I noted that, Wilson Northampton School at silt fence around the bridge over their pond, and I know we permitted something there, did an RDA, I guess, was wondering if they did their pre-construction notifications and things they were supposed to do.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
I typically put that on general business when I've done an RDA pre-construction visit.
It's nice, I think if we hear about things, just so when we notice things and,
Yep.
So we don't get too bent out of shape.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
everything is opened appropriately.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. I went and did my pre-construction meeting. I actually have, did the commissioners want to see images from that?
I don't. Do others?
I'm okay. It was pretty
Yeah, the
bananas.
silt fences were essentially at the locations. There was one place where they needed to pull it up higher up the hill. He sent me a photo later that day of it higher up the hill. There was a question of the towing in of them. And Dave Levin made a case for why towing them in would actually add more disturbance to the site. Because of how short the project was going to occur over 3 days time. And he requested that the silt fencing not tow in, just sort of be there as a barrier. And he described his plan with no sediment actually touching the ground. So they were going to excavate into buckets and then move it off site, and then fill with riprap rocks. After checking with the city engineer, I approved his plan.
Okay.
And wrote a memo approving it.
Was there any, is there a straw wattle or straw?
There are straw wattles right along the inside edge of the silt fencing.
Okay.
As requested, yeah.
Okay.
Just the silt fencing was not towed in.
Okay, that sounds like it's okay in this instance. That would, if there wasn't the straw wattle.
Yep.
So that we didn't have any real barrier with the ground,
It
that would be
wouldn't be
concerning,
functioning.
but yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And in that memo, I recall noting that if the project took longer than a week, he estimated that as a 2-day or 3-day project, he needed to re-notify me. And if there was going to be a rain event over an inch during that period of time.
Okay, great. Sounds good. I wanted to ask too, if folks had noticed, I don't know if it's a car dealership on 10 near where the, I think quite close to where the billiard hall that never got built was proposed. There's some kind of activity going on at a defunct business. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Billiard hall is over on Pleasant
It
Street.
was on Pleasant Street. It was on Pleasant Street,
It's from like the Keystone Building or
well,
whatever.
across from Eastwood,
Right.
or across
Do you
from
want to
Eastwood.
Pleasant Street or 10?
Yeah, that's what I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm,
Oh, boy.
no, it's 10, so I'm in the wrong place.
Okay.
Which may make it defunct, because I was thinking that it was near the other site where we knew there were wetlands, and so I was concerned if maybe there was a wetland permit that had been missed, but we're in a totally different place.
May not be anything behind
Yeah.
that to speak of, right?
The old
I think
flooring
we're somewhere else.
building got,
Retools.
yeah, it's half demoed now. I don't know if that's.
It's gonna be the East Haven Hut.
Oh, where is that? That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. I saw the East Haven sign in the window.
Yeah, that's on
Before
10 and it's
corner
right
is
across
10.
the street from the East
Yeah,
Hampton Auto
okay.
Center.
So that's, there's no jurisdictional resource areas there either.
I
I was on the wrong road in my head.
fencing that's up seems to me to be entirely within the old parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the closest wetland is River Valley from there.
yeah, you might be right. Okay, all right, I think we're good then.
There is. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to see an aerial. There are some.
Yeah, but I
different
don't think they're
water-
going outside the parking lot.
Do you
Yeah.
have an address? I could pull it up. I have Mass Mapper ready to go.
Does anybody know what the address would be? It's near the intersection of
Lawrence Road.
Lawrence and
Yeah.
10, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ava, are you receiving, I don't even know, do we have a building? We don't have a building commissioner,
Might be
right?
150 Northampton, but don't.
150. I'm seeing that. As East Heaven, but it says temporary close.
Right.
But I get building permits from the building inspector, I think,
Okay,
to sign off on
okay.
and to do.
So that
to do
process is.
preliminary review.
is
That process
happening.
is occurring.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. I just wanted to make sure you're looped into that. I know there's various staff positions that are empty at the moment, making sure that's still functioning as it's supposed to. I know what I was going to ask you before. Who's the interim planning director?
Ken Comia.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yes, who
Great.
you folks worked with
Yeah.
years ago as the interim conservation agent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
I didn't know that had happened. That's good.
The address at East Haven is 150 North.
I know that's stunning, isn't it?
150 Northampton Street. Yeah, I can show real quick. Yeah, he's been a tremendous help so far. He's only in 1.5 days a week though.
Okay. Well, that's better
Better
than
than
zero.
zero.
Yeah.
And he brought some folks from PC to assist as well.
Okay.
Had some scaffolding with
Oh, great.
CPA.
Okay.
So 150 Northampton Street.
Okay. Yeah, that looks like it's pretty landlocked.
You're thinking back there.
I just wasn't sure. In my head, we were near that other site where we knew there was a ravine and wetlands behind it, but we're
Yeah, that was
nowhere near
Pleasant Street,
that.
where
Yeah,
there's people who could do something.
right.
That never happened.
Right.
How accurate is Mass Mapper supposed to be?
It is not to be relied upon.
Okay, because it shows a stream running through my house.
Well, there's a
It
problem.
really was at one point.
A good place to start. Yeah, but not a good place to end.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough fun?
I think that's enough fun.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Ryan,
Aye.
August, Weeks,
I
Carr,
Aye.
motion carries. It is 8:24 and we are concluding the September 9th meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. Our next meeting will be September 23rd at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.